This video will walk you through the steps of adding the Zoom app to your Clever teacher page so that your students have access to it. So to get started, you'll go to clever.com and sign into your portal. And then you'll go ahead and scroll down to other resources, and Zoom has just been added this week. So you can click on Zoom and it's going to open up to your profile page. And then you will see under your personal meeting ID a URL that's specific to your account. So you'll want to click to highlight that and choose to copy it. Then we'll come back up top and we'll click back on the Clever portal tab. And then you'll want to scroll back up to the top and open your teacher page. Now you can click the Add button in the lower right corner and choose Link. The first area asks you to paste the link. So we're going to do our click to paste that Zoom URL in. And now it asks for a name. You can just call it Zoom, or if you want to add Zoom Room to it. And now you need an icon to go along with that. So if you'd like to get the Zoom icon to be able to use for that, if you click on the Teacher Digital Resources spreadsheet that was sent out from Dr. Smith and scroll down a little ways, there is Using Zoom in the Classroom. And over to the side is a teacher tutorial. So once you open that, this is an amazing resource to be able to use to help get you set up and started. And if I scroll down to the written directions for setting this up on your Clever page, step 3 has a link to the Zoom icon. And so after I click on that link, it opens up this thumbnail and I can choose to right click and save that image. And right now it's set to go out to my desktop, which is perfect. And we'll just call it Zoom and click to save. And so now I'm going to go ahead and minimize that screen and come back to my Clever page. And back over here for icon, I'll click upload and make sure I am pointing out to the desktop, and there is my Zoom image. So I'll click to open that. And now I can click to select that Zoom icon and add link. And so now you have Zoom Room added to your teacher page. And now we'll switch over to a student view to show you how your students will access. So your students, when they sign into their portal page, they'll see your teacher page. They'll be able to click to open that up. And there's your Zoom Room. So they would be able to click and join in on your meeting. So now that you have your link in Clever for your students to be able to use, there are a few settings that you will want to change in your Zoom account. So now we're in your Zoom account. Over on the left side, you'll choose settings. And some of these things are going to be just up to you, whether you start the video right away or not. You might go ahead and just have that on as a default, just so that everyone who enters, you can see them and they can see you. Continuing to scroll down, this use personal meeting ID, that's what we put into Clever for students to use, so you'll want to turn that on, as well as the using the personal meeting ID for an instant meeting. You'll want to turn that on as well, so that again that link that you put in Clever will always work. We don't necessarily want students to have to enter a password every time that they're joining a meeting, so you can turn that feature off. Continuing to scroll down, we will want to mute your participants upon entry, so turn that feature on so that they are muted and can't have conversations without you being there to monitor. Continuing to scroll down, there are some chat features. So this is going to be up to you whether you want to have the sidebar open for everyone who's in the Zoom meeting to be able to chat. Maybe you'll have them muted for the time that you want to share information, and then they could have a chat along the side to be able to ask you questions. So that can be a valuable resource to leave that on. So you might give that a try and just set some rules for the chat feature. But down here, this private chat that allows them to send messages to anyone else who's part of the Zoom meeting, probably want to turn that off. Continuing to scroll down on the screen, you'll also want to come to the screen sharing area, and you'll probably want to set that to host only, at least to get started, and click save on that setting. There may be a time that you want to go in and change that so that they can share something that they've been working on, but to get started, you might be the only one that has the ability to share. Continuing to scroll down into the advanced settings for your meeting, we do want to go ahead and it's down here somewhere. There it is, waiting room. We want to turn the waiting room on. This allows your students to just kind of hang out and wait for you if you haven't quite gotten yourself set up to be in the meeting yet. So those are some of the settings that you should go ahead and change within your Zoom account before you host your first Zoom meeting. Okay, so how do we actually get a Zoom meeting started? We have a couple of different options. You can schedule a meeting, and to do that, over on the left navigation, you can click meetings and schedule a new meeting. Up here at the top, you can click schedule a meeting, and then either one of those options will open up this screen for you to be able to fill in the date and then the time that you'd like to be able to schedule your meeting for. You also have, if you're just doing one on the fly, one of your students sends you a message that says, I just really need your help, then you can just come up here to host a meeting with the video on, and then that is just going to launch your Zoom right away so that you can send a message back to your student to say, hey, I'm ready for you. And then you join with your computer audio, and you're up and ready to go on the fly. Another thing that you could do is, since you are using Google Classroom, you could post an announcement to your students. Maybe you could say something like, let's have a book chat. Your assignment was to read chapters 1 through 5 by Wednesday. Let's have a Zoom meeting to discuss what is happening in the story. So then you might provide the steps for your students, as they're still trying to get used to how this works. So maybe open the Clever app, open my teacher page, and select the Zoom Room app. We'll meet Wednesday at 10 a.m. And if I need to add any kind of attachments, I can do that. I'll just go ahead and post. So now students, all they would have to do is follow these 3 steps, and then I would just need to be in my Zoom account at that time to launch the meeting, and we would be able to have a discussion about what they've been reading so far. So there are going to be a couple of separate videos that are going to explain how the students will click and join in for these meetings on both the MacBook and the iPad.